This is Chris Kies, from Your Guitar. I'm hanging out in Nashville, Tennessee in my wonderful home. And I'm joined today by Gabe of Enterprise Earth, Delusions of Grandeur, Harvest of Color, but most people know you maybe through Enterprise Earth. So Gabe, how you doing?
Doing well, man. Just hanging out here in Taos, New Mexico, and just enjoying the summer. How about you?
Man, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. As you just said, I'm enjoying the summer. I love the fact that you got the pooch behind you. So I'm a big dog guy myself.
Yeah, that's Jiro, the studio dog, Mr. Studio Dog, snoozing right now. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say he looks really excited about this.
Oh, he's stoked. If it wasn't like hot today, he'd be way more stoked. And hopefully he doesn't get too stoked, or else things make it messy around these parts. So.
Well, right on, man. Let's just start talking about it. I want to talk about your gear, and I think that's where we should start. But I think it's interesting to say not only are you in New Mexico, which is, probably the first person I've ever talked to that is living in New Mexico, but also the fact that you're inside your home. This is a trailer, and you kind of are a vagabond. You're all over the place.
Yeah. This is my home. This is Nessa, my 7x16 foot cargo trailer that has been retrofitted to a studio and little tiny home. I've been living out of this thing for about 3 years now, and I love it. I love the mobile lifestyle and places I can go with it, and things I can do, and it's very comforting. And to have everything I need in one spot, and if I want to pick up and go, I can just go.
So is New Mexico pretty much a home base for you, in terms of maybe putting semi-roots down?
Yeah. So I'm right now. I'm in Taos, New Mexico, which is like a little mountain town in northern New Mexico at the foothills of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. I've spent more time here in Taos than I have anywhere else since I moved out of Pittsburgh 3 or 4 years ago, something like that, and spent a lot of time here. Spent a handful of summers and springs and falls here. So I really love this area of northern New Mexico and southern Colorado. It's just it's really nice, especially in the summer, because we're at high elevation, about 7,000 feet. So the summers don't get too hot up here.
Right on. Well, and I guess we can transition this back to gear and guitar talk. Is with the new EP that Enterprise put out. Were you recording or kind of doing anything here actually in your mobile studio?
Yeah, everything was done in the box. In the box, meaning in the laptop, and then in the box, as in my box house structure. Everything was produced, mixed, and mastered in here. I recorded guitars and bass in here. Dan did his vocals at home in his closet, and then Brandon did drums in Long Beach, over in LA. And then everything was sent to me, mixed and mastered here, and that's how we did it for the last EP.
Man, that's awesome. And what do you enjoy about kind of having your hands in the whole thing, not only writing and creating the music, but also producing and engineering and kind of putting everything together, making the whole pie?
Yeah, it was the Foundations of Bones EP. That was the first EP that we've self-produced, and I've been making just demo songs for years now. But then the whole COVID thing kind of prompted action, and I was like, yeah, screw it. I'm gonna go for it and see what happens. And I love production. I like mixing a lot, and we are all very stoked with the final product, and now we're gonna self-produce our coming album, which is almost done being written as of today. So.
Wow, that's awesome. It's a good way to be productive in kind of dark, unknown, uncertain times.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, let's just start talking about your Ibanez RG. I know that you've moved on to strictly 7 and 8 strings, strictly the brand, but also strictly the actual use of the word. But you started off with the Ibanez 6, the RG. Tell me about this thing, because it's a Frankenstein, right?
Yes, this guitar is a total Frankenstein. So quick backstory on this guitar. I purchased a 91 RG550 off eBay 7 or 8 years ago, and it was all purple. I love just purple, and I love the old 80s shredder, purple, neon purple, green, yellow color guitars and stuff like that. And we were filming a music video for one of my old bands, and I thought I'd be cool and do the old flip thing, but I guess my strap lock was stripped out, and it flew off, and the guitar broke in half. But the neck survived. So I found a body on eBay from '87, which I believe was the first year they started making the RG550s. So I got the body from '87, the neck from '91, did the old Steve Vai swirl paint job, or my attempt at doing that, like my 19-year-old self attempt at doing that. And yeah, this thing, I love the tone of this thing. It sounds great for like rhythms and leads and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, this guitar is 100% my baby. Wouldn't sell it for any amount of money or anything like that.
Did you pull the pickups out of this one, or is that the pickups that came in the second body?
These were new pickups for this one. I have bare knuckle nail bombs here in the bridge and the neck, and I believe it's a trilogy suite for the middle pickup. And yeah, I have bare knuckle pickups in most of my guitars here. Well, actually, sorry, 2 of my guitars here. But I really like bare knuckles. It's between bare knuckles and Lundgrens are usually the pickups I use.
How did you get turned on to those, and what made those kind of be the pickups you want to speak with when your tone comes to barking?
Probably, I think, like Misha from Periphery, I think, was one of the first people that I had heard of using bare knuckles. And I was a young genty boy at the time, so I I was just worshiping everything Periphery did, I think, at the time. But I tried them out, and I just love the tone of these things. Bark is a great way to put it. They have a nice barky mid-range, crisp top end, really full bottom end. And yeah, and they're extremely versatile too. Everything from the highest gain tones to like beautiful lush cleans these pickups can do. And yeah, I really love bare knuckles, especially these nail bombs. So.
Right on. And is this something that still gets used with enterprise stuff, or has this kind of been pushed aside because of the more extended range instruments?
Yeah, so yeah, enterprise, we don't really play 6s because we like to tune very low. So this guitar has been used for Delusions of Grandeur and the Harvest Color songs and recordings. I'll also use this guitar for leads too. So if so I'm planning on actually using it for leads on the coming enterprise album, just because I love just like the tone of like this classic guitar, just very unique, and especially in the neck pickup position. Like you don't really have guitars that sound like an old RG does in the neck, and yeah,
Can we hear that
planning
quick?
on. Yeah, sure. I'll see what I can do with it. It's just like really like it has like a nice roundness to it, but like that classic percussive slappiness that like you get with a neck pickup. But I don't know. I just like really like the just like really round and smooth sounding, and like when it gets into a mix too, it just like cuts like really well. And I don't know. It's just like I think it's just these old RGs and like this guitar in particular. Like some guitars are just special, and in certain people's hands they're special, and this one always feels like special in my hands, so I always feel like really comfortable playing it, except when there's a camera watching me. But no, I just really, it's just a really nice natural tone that's just so versatile. I think that's just why I enjoy every aspect of this guitar.
One of my favorite pieces is I want to say, and maybe you weren't part of that, but I've seen you do it live, is Spring to Come. Is that a solo that the RG was on, or is that something different?
Yeah. This that was recorded with this guitar, that rhythms and lead, and this guitar is also tuned to an open C minor tuning right now. It's a C G C E flat. So you get this really nice minor chord when I go to a clean tone. Just like a really nice. I don't know. It's something about C minor. It's just very sad. It's like a Moonlight Sonata. Just that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
What do you like about open tunings? I know that that's something you do use beyond just the the tunings that you use with Enterprise Earth. I know that you use open tunings to kind of unlock doors. Yeah,
it's just open tunings are great, especially if you're not comfortable with the tuning, because it forces you to play in a different way. You don't have all your standard go-tos. You can't do your standard box shapes or your standard runs and licks and stuff like that. So it kind of forces your mind to kind of just think outside the box and forces you to create new patterns and ideas.
Well, right on, man. Let's move on down to the next guitar. What do you got laying on the bed?
So next up, we have Also one of my favorite guitars. I love playing 6-string guitars, especially like playing extended range instruments with Enterprise, because going back to 25.5 just always feels like home and is like just so refreshing after being all stretched out for playing these like super large guitars. But yeah, this is
now,
a
is this
Cerro
something that you use with is this something you use for Harvest of Color?
Yeah, I use this for Harvest Color, and this is another one that I will use for leads on Enterprise songs. Just because it's, again, if I can play something on a 6-string, it just makes life way easier and more comfortable whenever I'm here in the studio. So, but yeah, this is a Sir Modern. Got this, I don't know, like 7 or 8 years ago, something like that. Let's see what it's tuned to, because I'm not sure. Slightly out of tune. I could have prepared better than that. How unprofessional of me. It looks like we're in standard. But yeah, this I love Sir guitars. I wish they made like a super baritone 8-string so I could like just have that, because I would totally pay money for that.
I'm sure if you paid the right amount of price, they build it for you.
Perhaps. I mean, I know they do baritones. They do 7s. I don't think they go past like 26 or 26.5 scale length. But for like the tunings that I'm in, it's like I need like at least 27.5, 28, something like that. And these guitars are already expensive enough, so I don't know if I could pocket a full custom Sir 8-string 25.5-inch scale. That may be for when I get a little more sometime in the future. But
it's a goal.
Yes, long-term goal.
Well, if you don't mind, Gabe, you want to kind of give us a tone test of what this guitar sounds like through how you're playing it?
Sure. And I'm going to switch over tones here to a new plugin by Neural DSP. I love the Neural stuff. And it's the new Archetype Corey Wong plugin.
All right.
Yeah, this plugin is killer for like funk and clean tones and stuff like that. Let me make sure I got it here.
I'm going to use this opportunity to plug our podcast that Corey hosts. Corey does our podcast, so yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
So anything
yeah,
Corey
yeah.
Wong, we're a fan of at Premier Guitar.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I love Wolfpack and all of Corey's playing and stuff like that too. He's a killer player. But it's just like really good, like slappy, standard funk. I'm not much of a slapper, but I'll give it a shot. Just any kind of like funky whatever you want to do with it is like really, it's just fun. It's like a lot of fun to play with. It has like, the envelope filter. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot of fun, like to play with this one. And
what do you got in the pickups there? I know that I can see that it's an HSS setup. What are your pickups?
They're just whatever the stock Sir pickups are in these. I don't know if they have a specific name, but I've never changed these ones out. They're the ones that came with the guitar, and
right.
yeah, I like these. I like these ones a lot. They're killer. That's another like this. I mean, Sir makes incredible instruments. And yeah, however, I liked it the way it was out of the box. It just cuts really well. It's kind of like I like this guitar for the same reasons I like the RG. It's just got like a really versatile tone. It's clear and crisp and just slices straight through a mix. And yeah, I have not felt the need to change these pickups yet.
Right on. Mm-hmm. What do you got on the top of the headstock there? Is that for like kind of muting strings?
Oh yeah, that's just the old Groove Gear fret wrap thing. Yeah, just for muting all the overtones and excess noise that you might not want to hear in the studio. So, just some standard dampening up there.
As we move on, before we move on to the 7 or 8 strings, what are you using on your RG and the sewer for strings and gauges and brand?
Sure. This is a 10 to 52 Diodario NYXLs. I'll use the 10 to 52 in standard, drop D, and dadgad on this thing. It's just because I tend to flip between those tunings a lot when I'm using this guitar, and all of those tensions feel fine and intonate in all of those tunings. The RG also have NYXLs, but I think it's like a 10 to 56, I believe. And that's just because that one's in like C, drop C minor, drop or sometimes drop C. So it'll just go like a little thicker for the low strings down there.
Gotcha. Well, let's move on to the next guitar, Gabe. What do you got else?
Sure.
What else is over the land there?
Sure. I guess we'll go to the 8-string over there. Because why not?
Yeah, right.
So this, let me switch tones. I don't know if Archetype Corey Wong is the appropriate tone for this guitar. So let me switch that one out real quick.
Yeah, no, Corey's very limber in his musicality, but I don't know if he gents.
Although I have like just when I got the plugin, I just jamming through. It's just a killer plugin. I mean, this thing does clean tones great, and if I found a need to do something with that kind of stuff, I'm sure it could handle it just fine. Well, where are we here? Cool. So this is a company called Dalbello, who unfortunately is not in business anymore. They used to make killer custom guitars. They're based out of Toronto, but there was some really weird like fallout between the main builder and one of his employees, and someone stole some things and left the country and all kinds of weird shit. And it was right when I was like in the middle. It was right in the middle of like my build too, so I was like very concerned. I was like, can I get my guitar please? And then like we're good before things get too crazy. But they did make amazing guitars, and this guitar was recommended to me by a friend years ago. And the need came for a custom 8-string, because with the tunings that we play in, you almost have to go custom. There's very few companies that like make like the specs that like I know that I need for an 8-string. And Dalbello did it, and yeah, they did a killer job at this thing. It's swamp ash body. I don't know if we can see in the camera, but it's like black, like a charcoal with like a red grain fill. I love the finish. This one has Lundgren M8s in here. Again, killer pickups. It's either these or bare knuckles for me. For like the heavier metal stuff, I love the Lundgrens. They just cut and just sound so mean. And we have a multi-scale 28 1/4 to 26.75 on the treble end, which I found it for me to be like the ideal scale length or multi-scale for playing the low tunings that we play in, and facilitating leads and whatnot. So for me, and this with the strings I have on it, also intonates this low D.
Yeah, because you'll drop that D
well.
on people if
Or
they're
just
not
enough,
looking.
actually.
You'll drop the D on them.
So yeah, this is a great guitar. You gotta just,
What are some other specs that you didn't maybe so much run down as you kind of gave us the overview of the guitar that you need or are looking for or know that works for the band, the extended tunings you guys use? What are some specs that you like? If I have a custom guitar, if I'm paying for this, I know I need this, this, and that.
Sure. And a lot of it, I should say, I'm going to multitask. I'm going to tune this while I go over shit. But a lot of it comes down to the player too, and like it's just getting comfortable with the way you play. Because first of all, with these like low tunings, like we're at a standard bass D right now, which is pretty freaking low for a guitar.
Yeah.
It's beyond what a guitar was originally designed to do. And standard bass go length is what, like 33 inches, 35 inches, some 34, somewhere in there. And we're at 28 1/4, so you would for a bass you got to go almost 6 more inches to get proper tension and intonation and all that stuff. So a lot of it's just experimenting. But it's also comfortability too, and playability, because the last album, Luciferous, Jason Sukoff, he had an Ibanez M80M, which is that guitar is an absolute monster in every single shape and form. But that guitar is 29.4 inches, which intonates and holds everything like a laser, but it's so damn uncomfortable to play, especially technical things and leads. You're so stretched out. So you gotta kind of compromise and find something that you can be comfortable playing leads and rhythms and everything on, but you also need appropriate scale length. You also need appropriate string gauges to make sure everything intonates and holds tune. Because if you have two, you can do it now if you hit it hard enough. But if you have too light of a string or too short of a scale length, you kind of get that waver when you hit the string. It'll go sharp and then settle down, which is always going to happen regardless of how low you're tuned or whatever. But it's more prevalent on these lower tunings. So having the right scale length and then understanding how or knowing how you play. If you play hard, you have to tune your guitar according to how hard you're picking. So you're intonated and so you're in tune and whatnot. So it's a combination of a lot of things, though. But I think I've kind of found, after experimenting for years and years and years, like the happy middle ground between playability, intonation, and tension.
All right, Gabe. So what are you using for string gauges and how you're tuning this one?
Sure. So yeah, this one is tuned to double drop D and double drop D variants. I tuned to a dadgad in this tuning as well, just with a low A and a D. And this has 9 to 46 for the top 6 strings, NYXLs. Then we have a 66 for the A, and then we also have a 94 for the low D, which intonates everything pretty well. A little sharp on the 24th, but it's all good. And yeah, it holds it pretty well, unless you really whack the string and it goes sharp.
Can you maybe play a little bit just to kind of give us a taste test of what this mean machine can do?
Sure, yeah. And then for tone on this one, I'm using a Fortin Meshuggah profile in my Kemper. This is I've been using this tone live for the past year and in the studio for the past year. It's killer tone, and I love all the Fortin stuff. So we'll give it a rip. There's that D.
Sounds good, man. It sounds chunky.
It's pretty chunky, yeah. This is another guitar where I just love the feel of it. The fan or the multi-scale on this, the 1.5 like fan, I've found to be pretty ideal and pretty comfortable for multi-scale instruments, for multi-scale guitars. Anything past 1.5 just starts to feel like you're a little too stretched out for this kind of scale length. So 1.5 seems to be pretty comfortable for me, at least whenever I'm on this kind of instrument.
And now, is that something you'll tour with? Because I'm sure maybe you don't tour with all 6 or 7 guitars. Is this a touring guitar?
No. No, I do not tour with all 6 or 7 guitars. That would be a nightmare. And thankfully, we only use a couple tunings live, and I can change on here as needed. I don't need to bring like a million guitars on tour. But yeah, this is my main guitar live right now. That might change very soon, though, because I do have an Aristides coming. It should be here, honestly, any day now. I just sent in the last payment, and the build's done, so I think they're shipping it out next week. So I'm really stoked to get that one as well. But this has been my live guitar for the past year, pretty much since I got it. Since I've got it, it's been my main live 8-string. And yeah, I can flip-flop between all the 3 drop D tunings that we use on this thing, and it's pretty solid on the road. I did have one kind of weird issue with it, and this is you'll discover this if you play multi-scales and stuff like that. The top string kept breaking on me because I think I used to play 10s because I just like thicker strings. But I would be like in the middle of a solo, and I'd go for like that resolving bend up there, and it would just like snap on me. Like I think it happened like 2 shows in a row, and it was just like super embarrassing. But since then I've gone down to 9s for the top string, and it's not so much of an issue. Also had an issue up here with the tuner as well. There's like a little burr in it, so corrected those 2 things, and knock on wood.
Gotcha, man. Well, sometimes you gotta be like quick on your feet and figure out and not be so hard and fast on your rules too. Like I'm a 10 to 46 guy. Well, in that situation you gotta be flexible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, well, not anymore. I'm not a 10 to 46 guy anymore. Back to 9s.
What else you got laying over there for guitars?
Sure. So I'll show you the other one I have. I won't play that one because it's not That one also hasn't been out of the case in years, and it's not really set up very well, but I'll show it to you. And I also have another 7-string in the same tuning, which the same pickups and everything. So, but this is one of my strictly 7s. This is the last custom I got from them. It's pretty good guitar. It's just like what 1, 2, 3, 7-piece maple walnut neck. That's what ash body, I think, but with the flame maple top, ebony fretboard. Yeah, I just like red and black. And before the company kind of went. Well, they were already kind of going downhill, but Jim sent me this last one, and this is actually my backup 7 on the road right now. It's tuned to drop E, but yeah, it's a great backup. There's an issue up here with the underneath the nut. There's some like cracking with the wood and stuff like that I need to repair. That's why it's not my main, and a few other issues and stuff like that. It's a great backup, and it's pretty. So.
Killer.
But yeah, I move to the other 7-string. Excuse me, dog. I have nowhere to put my instrument.
It's funny how the dogs have a knack for taking up the most space when the most space is not allowed. I often find my dog takes up more space in the bed than I do.
He's being pretty. Yeah, he loves to like toss and turn and stretch and grunt and groan all night, which I do the same thing. So I guess we're a pretty good match. So. But okay, so it's pretty much same exact guitar as far as woods and scale length as the red one behind me. But yeah, another strictly 7, circa 2012. This is one they were making, in my humble opinion, like the best extended range instruments in the game. Like when they first exploded onto like the guitar scene. My buddy had one and I played it and I was like, whoa, this guitar like feels crazy. And just like the ergonomics of the design, they have like a pretty unique like teardrop D-shaped neck, which is like super comfortable, especially for these like wide fretboards. The neck is like pretty thick too compared to like standard necks, which I like. It just feels a little more sturdy in your hands. And I like a little thicker necks. I don't like super thin necks. It's just, I don't know. I just like a little more to hold on to over there. But yeah, 27.5-inch scale, holds this low E pretty well. I have 12 to 80 gauge strings on here, NYXLs, because 80 is the biggest string you can fit in a Floyd. And yeah, this guitar is killer. I've had this guitar for 7 or 8 years now. Ever since I got 7s, I've been tuning it to drop E, and this thing's been a solid, trusty metal warhorse ever since I got it. So love this thing.
I love the black with the white binding. It looks like a tuxedo. Very classy.
Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? I never thought of the tuxedo idea. But yeah, it's like a. Sure.
Well, you mind playing a little bit for us? I'd love to hear kind of like what drop E sounds like, because man, I can't say I played in it.
It sounds like this. So yeah, this is another one. It just like feels super solid and it's a lot of fun to play. This one, I do have bare knuckles in here, a nail bomb in the bridge and an aftermath in the neck. I do not like the aftermaths in the bridge. It's just like a little too bitey sounding for me. The nail bomb's like a little cooler and you can kind of like wrangle the tone a little easier, in my opinion. But in the neck, the aftermath sounds killer. So I do like it in that position.
Do you use the Floyd Rose much? I know it's there, but is it something you use much with Enterprise?
Yes, and I'll use it for standard dive bomby stuff, but I use it for a lot of rhythm things too. As far as like open string bends, like to kind of hit certain pitches and stuff like that. Like there's a song on Luciferus called Infernal Suffering where like the main riff, it goes from E and then it drops down to an E flat and then it drops down to a B. And I use the open string bend to hit all of those pitches versus pitch shifting. I do use some pitch shifting as well, but there's a certain feel you get whenever you are creating the note yourself, which I really like. And then there's the other kind of like kind of like slap your hand against the bridge to get the open string bend. So I like to add a lot of those little rhythmic articulations into my rhythm playing.
It's an expressive tool. I think it's just like with the anger or just the way that you hit it, it's nice to have that almost instant feedback of hitting it, and then the note changes based on your, I guess, hitting it.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, it's very expressive would be the right word. And yeah, I have to have a Floyd if I'm playing in drop E, because I do those rhythm things a lot. And I could go in and automate in my Kemper all these little pitch shifty bends and stuff like that, but it's just not the same. I like to actually do it, and I have more fun playing that way. So yeah, Floyds are great, but they are also a total pain in the ass. So it's you gotta take the good with the bad.
Man, before we move into your Kemper and kind of pick that apart a bit, I'm curious if you have it around. Maybe you want to show us. If not, no big deal. But I gotta imagine you have the Martin nearby, right? Because I think this is cool. Because
it is right in front of me. I'll grab that.
You know, hip to you, they should definitely go on Instagram and follow you at Death Metal Gypsy, and see all the different videos that you're producing and the stuff you're doing with Enterprise. I know that you've done some stuff also, but a lot of the stuff you do is just you performing somewhere out in the wilderness with you and your Martin.
So, and I have done like the live audio in the wilderness things with like electric guitar playthroughs in the past. For those kind of videos though, just because it's for the acoustic videos, just because it's like I'm going for like cinematography kind of, and I want this audio to be pristine, and acoustic's such a sensitive instrument. I do just have the track pre-recorded, and so I'll record it in the studio, then I'll just go film, just like a regular music video or anything like that. Maybe if I was like an incredible, super good player, I would do it maybe one day, like a total live thing. And that's something I actually should do just for fun one day as well, just to go for it. But yeah, just to kind of just get everything nice and tight, I will just have the track pre-recorded and then just film a video when I'm out in the woods. And it also makes filming a little easier, because when you go to remote locations, sometimes like bring in all the gear and like batteries and a way to charge the batteries and record yourself, and like the logistics of that can get pretty difficult sometimes if I'm not right next to my rig or right next to my van, which also has like an inverter and battery. So just to make things easier on myself, I'll just film it and then record at home for now. So.
Gotcha. Well, man, what do you dig about this Martin?
Yeah, this is a Martin DCP A4. I've had this thing for many, many years now. It was when I was looking for my, first acoustic, like really good acoustic, whatever that means. It was between like a Martin and a Taylor, and because my dad had a Taylor at home. I forget which model, but I love Taylor guitars as well. And I went to the store and played them both, and the Martin, in my opinion, sounded better than the Taylor, which is like the Taylor was twice the price as the Martin. And I was like, yeah, hell yeah, give me the Martin. And yeah, I just like the tone of this thing. Very comfortable to play as well. I have the Fishman Rare Earth Blend mic pickup combo in this thing. This is a fantastic mic pickup combo. I'll use it. I mainly just use the mic in this thing, actually. Not so much the pickup, even though you can stereo split it, so you can put different effects and record two separate signals. But yeah, I mainly just use the mic because I feel like it has a better natural tone. And it looks like the mic's kind of like falling down in there, so we'll see if it sounds like it normally does, because I didn't have a chance to adjust it. But yeah, and the mic also picks up all the pops and slaps and cracks and stuff like that, like really, really well. And yeah, really surprised with the tone, how well of a tone this thing can produce without having to like actually get a couple mics on your guitar. So. Well,
if you don't mind, man, I'd love to hear it. And I wouldn't be disappointed if you busted out some Zelda.
Oh shit. Well, for that video, I need like 5 of me, I guess. But to do all the parts. Yeah. Right now I have this in DADGAD. Love this tuning. Fantastic. I also use this in standard, drop D, open C minor, and sometimes I'll just change it to something new just for fun. So it's just a really, and I love DADGAD just because another cool thing about open tunings is you can't, or everything's technically in key as long as you're in D. So if you hit a wrong note, no one notices, and that's another perk of the open tunings. But here we go. love this guitar. It's fantastic.
Is that what you track with like Luciferous and the new Foundation EP have the Martin on it for those acoustic parts?
So Foundation of Bones EP, yes, all acoustics were done with this guitar, with the Fishman, recorded in here. On Luciferous, I actually, I had some issues with the setup on this guitar. I brought it down with me to Florida to Audio Hammer, and the first year I had this out here with me in the desert, acoustics are very sensitive instruments, and the neck had actually started to warp up, like not just a standard bow or underbow. It like the neck actually started warping up this way, and it was so bad that it needed a neck reset, and couldn't really get it done in time for the studio. So I used Jason had a friend who had a really nice Taylor, so I just used a Taylor for the Luciferous recordings. But this all future or the coming LP will be all done with this guitar with the Fishman Fluence here in the box. So.
Right on, man. I think this would be a good time if you want to grab maybe your favorite guitar or the guitar you think you most want to play right now and kind of dive through some of the Kemper profiles you're using.
So, Kemper World over here. There's a few go-to profiles that I have. The main one, which I was demoing this and the 8-string, is the Fortin Meshuggah profile. This particular one is called Fortin with Bacon. That I have adjusted to my own likings and settings and stuff like that. Fortin makes killer stuff. I love their amps. They just kind of sound like meaner, like 5150s or 6505s or something like that, and they just have like a really unique character to them. I'm comfortable playing them. I think they, whenever I'm playing a guitar, going through one of their heads or profiles, it just feels really natural. This is the Fortin with Meshuggah with Bacon. It's really mean, just classic metal tone. It's just killer.
Did you change that from? I remember hearing an interview you did maybe a year or two ago. You had like for your main rhythms was like a 6505 profile with a tube screamer. Is that kind of like the shift that you made to this?
Yep, I shifted to this one. It was shortly after I was using the 6505, which I do still have that in here. I'll go to that now. But yeah, the 6505 was the profile that we used on Luciferous. I love that profile. Nothing wrong with that profile at all. It's just when I started playing I got these Fortin profiles. It just I was like, wow, this is just I just love this. And, here's the 6505. This is the same profile and tone that we had on Luciferous. Another killer tone. There's so many killer tones out there you could play. I could play through amps and heads all day and like not get bored. But it's this one's great too. I don't think I have it gained or EQ'd the same, but this one, it's still great. It's just like you can hear it's a little more. I guess the thing I like about the Fortin compared to this one, the Fortin just sounds like a little more modern and meaner, while still retaining all of that like classic like crunch and slice and grit that you find with the 6505. So yeah, again, another killer beefy tone, but it's like a little, I guess there's the thing I didn't like about this, it's like a little bitey sounding, and yeah, you can EQ things out, but obviously getting the tone right or as good as you can get it at the source is crucial. So that was another part of my switching to the Fortin.
How long have you
for
Gabe,
now.
how long have you been like a Kemper guy? I know that for years, at least with Enterprise and touring, you're using it. But when did you make the shift to being kind of a Kemper guy? And does it go across all the bands you play?
It was about a couple years ago. Because the first year of touring with Enterprise, I had an XFX Ultra, which that was great. It was like one of the first Ultras from like 2009 or 10 or something like that, and still had killer tone, but I think who was the first who did we tour with that had Kempers? We toured with Rivers of Nile and Thy Art Is Murder. Or no, it was there was bands before that had Kempers too, because that was the first tour. The first tour I used the Kemper was on that tour with Thy Art Is Murder, Dying Fetus, and Rivers of Nile. and I forget who I saw using it before, but I played through a Kemper at someone's place, and yeah, it was just, I was like, wow, this German box has sucked the soul out of all these amps, and it's like amazing. So yeah, it's just, as soon as I played through one, it was like, yep, I'm making the switch, selling the XFX, and going to the Kemper.
Do you have any amps, or do you use any amps anymore, like tube heads? I know that you probably play around and mess around with friends stuff, but is that anything you own?
Yeah, I'm just digital these days. The last amp I had, I mean, even before Kemper, I was all digital with my XFX, and the last head that I had, or amp that I had, was a Mesa Dual Rec back in like 2010 or 11, something like that. I switched to XFX around 2011, 2012. And also, like, living in my current situation doesn't really like it doesn't facilitate amps or facilitate the use for amps, just because having these big heavy things in your tiny trailer space takes up a lot of space and adds weight and stuff like that. So unfortunately, I can't have a nice wall of amps back here somewhere, even though that'd be sick.
It'd be funny if they're just all dummies, but yeah, I hear you, man. And so
that's an idea. Have a bunch of dummy heads back there. That's a great idea.
Or just paint it into the wall so it looks like it. It's almost like like wallpaper of some sort.
Yeah.
But in a live situation, are you guys going direct, or you got in-ears? Are you using cabs or anything?
So live, so out of the back of the Kemper, we do go direct to front of house for our tone, but then we also use cabs for stage presence and monitoring. And I just like the look and feel of cabs on stage. Yeah, I mean, you don't need them as much these days. But yeah, I just like, it just feels rock and roll, just having some cabs on stage pushing air behind you. And especially like the venues that, if we're playing like a 300 to 500 cap venue, then having cabs really does add to the tone in terms of like guitar presence on stage and in when it's coming out to the crowd as well. Once you get like 500 to 1,000 cap venues, cabs, no one's really hearing that anymore. But for smaller clubs and stuff like that, it's still a big part of my tone and big part of anyone's tone that's using them. And yeah, so I like to combine the digital and the cab worlds.
Do you have a cab, or is it something that you rent or backline on your tours?
So the cabs are in, not this trailer, in the band trailer, which is in storage in LA. So all of the heavy equipment is in storage over there. We just go get that stuff whenever it's time to play shows. No cabs here because, again, I have no idea where the hell I'd put a cab in this space. Maybe the dummy thing would be another good idea. So.
Do you have a...
Or maybe I could like refurbish my cabinets into guitar cabinets and I don't know.
Do you have like a 4x12 or like a Mesa Boogie or a Marshall or something?
Yeah, I just have two 412 Mesa slants, just with V30s, the old standard Mesa cab. Yeah, and that's what I use live, tried and true. I haven't really found a reason to change cabs yet. So. Right
on. Well, I imagine the Fortin is kind of your rhythm tone. What do you use for like a lead? Like what's a patch or a modeling setup that you use for a lead tone?
So let me go to that one. So this is my main lead. There's a couple of different lead tones I've been auditioning lately, but this is the main rig. This is also this is not the lead tone we use on Luciferous, even though I kind of wish we did I kind of wish we would have used this one. But it's a modded JCM 800 profile. I forget exactly what was modded. This is one of Jason Sukoff's secret sauce profiles that I'm not allowed to share with anyone. So thank you, Jay, for sending me this, and I have not shared it with a single soul, and nor will I, unless you give me permission. So yeah, I forget exactly what was modded about it, but I think he told me something about it was the same JCM 800 that was profiled that like Green Day used on one of their albums or something like that. But it's just got that classic Marshall lead. Let me get some delay and verb to do lead stuff over here. I don't know. It's just like really crisp and crunchy and cuts really well. Yeah, and it's again secret sauce Sukov profile, so maybe that's why it sounds so nice.
How did you comprise the solo for Sleep is for the Dead? Because it has like that harmonized thing. Did you do like 2 takes at it and then pan it? Or how did you have that like harmonized solo?
Yeah, so that's solo. Can I play it on this one? Because it's in a different tuning than this, but I haven't played that solo in a long time. I might embarrass myself. But it's it was just a left and a right track for the harmonies. I love doing harmonized lead stuff. I just big fan of like Iron Maiden and all the classic 80s harmony stuff and whatnot. So that stuff always finds its way into my lead playing. And so that's just a left and a right pan. Sometimes I'll do like a main, like the melody in the middle, and then I'll stereo split the harmony left and right. It all depends like what the solo needs. Maybe it needs like that 2 guitar feel. Maybe it just needs like the main feel but reinforced with harmonies. That's when I'll use the stereo split. But yeah, I love doing a nice third harmony. Always sounds very pleasing to the ears and mind and body.
It's all encompassing. Are there any other like major
Yes.
Kemper profiles that you use or that you go to for any of your projects?
It's those are the 2 main ones for rhythms and leads. I think I have a couple cleans in here. Let me see what I got that I'll use periodically. I think this is a Randall Satan profile. Get this noise out of here. This is my buddy Brody Utley from Rivers of Nile. He had like a Tone Crate Kemper bundle come out like a year or 2 ago, something like that, and he was nice enough to send these over to me, and some really killer tones over here. I'd never played through a Randall Satan head or profile before, and then I heard this thing and I was like, man, this actually sounds really nice. It's got like a nice like bark, like mid bark snarl to it, which is like bark 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 bark, like chicken bark 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 or whatever. But it's just really cuts through really well. But yeah, I've been auditioning that one for leads as well. Maybe I'll try to do like a blend with the JCM and this one whenever it's time for album stuff. So there's one. And then, we have the ever so classic Fender Twin profile, which I've used many times. What do we got here? Ooh, we have some rotary effects on this one as well, in this profile. Distortion off there. Oh, there we go. That's what we want. That's that lush. And the single coil. Yay. But yeah, classic Fender Twin. This was also one of before I sold all my amps and stuff. I also had like the '68 reissue Fender Twin, which I would use back home in Pittsburgh. I used to play in like a cover band and stuff like that, and I would use that amp for those gigs. And it took pedals so well, and one of the best. The Fender Twin, and then the Roland JC120, right, is two of my favorite clean tones. We used a 120 model on Luciferous for all the cleans, and yeah, just between those two amps, just can't beat that clean tone. It's just so lush and awesome, and takes pedals really well too.
Now, is there any like dramatic effects that you use with Enterprise Earth, or is it pretty much kind of clean tone and then just brutal and more brutal and the brutalist?
The brutalist. Yeah, I mean, it's there's everything from brutalist to no gain at all to some like just light dirty tones and stuff, like texture tones and stuff like that. It all depends what the part needs. Sometimes if it's like a specific overtone, I like to write in a lot of layers. So if there's a lot of guitars going on, if you add like an overtone guitar layer, but it's still full gain, just like your other guitars, it can kind of get all the fizz and noise from the distortion can kind of make it lost in the mix, and that's something that you can't really EQ out. So for certain overtones where I want each note to be really heard, but I don't like want a clean tone, I'll go up somewhere in the middle. I'll go like just like a lightly overdriven tone, compress it a little bit so so everything's there, and that way you can hear all the notes and hear exactly what's going on without it just getting totally washed out.
Right on, man. Well, what else do you got going on the rest of the year? I know it sounds like you're pretty much wrapped and your portion of writing the new record. I know that at one point you were offering guitar lessons. I don't know if you're still doing that. Is that something you're doing, or what else you got going on for 2020?
Yeah, I do guitar lessons, although not right now just because I'm in full-time writing and recording mode. So once that's done, I'll be picking lessons back up again sometime in October, I think. But yeah, right now, only thing on my plate is just getting this album done, getting the writing done, getting the recording done, and then I don't have any plans for the rest of the year. So that's all I got right now, and figure out the rest as we go. We have some tentative touring plans for the spring of next year. Obviously, who knows if that's actually going to happen? It's a thing we just got to wait and see. But yeah, right now it's just day by day, living in the moment, in the present thing, just recording this album. So that's it for me.
Now, to follow up with the recording situation, are you guys going to take all your pieces and put them together and you'll do all that yourself, or are you guys going to meet up in a studio? Like, how is that going to work, or are you guys really going to do everything remote?
So yeah, we are going to self-produce, but yeah, I think I'll do all guitars and bass here. Brandon will do all drums somewhere in LA. I'm not sure if we're going to rent a studio this time or use the space we used last time for Foundation of Bones. And then Dan, I think for the EP, it was okay to do vocals remotely just because we were only doing a handful of songs, and those songs were like pretty straightforward. But for a whole album, I would like to track Dan here in the studio, just because I feel like that would things would go like a lot smoother that way, and that way we can go through all the vocals with a fine-tooth comb, and I don't have to like get his files and be like, oh, adjust your consonant 16th of a note this way and do all this weird stuff where if we can just do it live in real time, that's way more efficient for recording. Yeah. So
cool, man. Well, Gabe, I really appreciate you taking the time and making this work with being out in the woods, or I guess on the mountains, but in the woods as well. But man, I appreciate it. This is awesome.
Yeah, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me do the rig rundown. It is a true honor. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So
killer, man. Well, I'll let you go. Everyone out there, stay safe. And Gabe, take plenty of water with you and the dog when you guys take hikes.
Yes, we always do. I need to get him like a little doggy backpack thing so he can carry his own water, because he drinks just as much as I do. So it's yeah.
Well, you guys stay awesome out there in New Mexico, and everyone else stay well out there as well.